So I want to start with a story. um, there was a middle-aged woman, and she was in the hospital having surgery for a heart attack. And she has a vision of God by her bedside. And as one has the opportunity to do when you are in the presence of God, she asked a question. She said, "Will I die?" And God says, "No, no, you have a long life ahead of you, 30 more years to live." And so with 30 years to look forward to, she decides to make the best of it. Since she's already in the hospital, she goes ahead and schedules several more procedures right away. Breast implants, liposuction, a tummy tuck, hair transplants, and collagen injections in her lips. And before long, she looks great and she's ready to go home, live her long life. And the day she's discharged, she exits from the hospital and kind of with a swagger crosses the street, and wham, she's immediately hit by an ambulance and killed. And up in heaven, she sees God again. She said, "You said I had 30 more years. What happened?" God said, "That's true." She's like, "Well, what happened?" God says, "I didn't recognize you." So as we continue the month of March and the theme of play, today I want to talk about one of the biggest healing forces we have as human beings, laughter. So out of curiosity, when I was getting ready for this talk, I wondered if humans were the only creatures that had the ability to laugh. And I was tickled to learn that scientists have found 65 species of animals that make unique sounds during pleasant social interactions that researchers consider analogous to human laughter. 65 species. So most of the animals they found were mammals, but a few bird species demonstrated this playful laughter too. So the bottom line is, if you think your dog is laughing at you, you're probably right. So I love funny people, don't you? You know, people and animals who make me laugh are some of my favorites. And studies have shown that sense of humor is one of the most desired character traits in a human being. It's considered a personality strength, and people are drawn to those who make them laugh and welcome laughter into interactions. And online dating sites, if you're in the market, always list sense of humor in the top 10 desired qualities in profiles. So I completely understand that, don't you? You know, have you ever been at a party or a restaurant and there's one table that's just bursting into laughter constantly? And I don't know about you, but I'm always envious. I have FOMO, or fear of missing out, and I want to move to that table. And I've also been at the table that's doing all the laughing and having everybody look at us, and it's contagious in the room, and people are laughing and they don't even know why we're laughing, but they're laughing with us. It's just part of group human experience, laughter. And most people want to be in on it. And when I was younger, all of my immediate family members were readers, and we always had a copy of Reader's Digest laying around the house, right? And as soon as a new edition came into the house, we would all scramble to read one particular column. Laughter is the best medicine, right? Remember that? And to this day, if I see an old Reader's Digest lying around, I'll pick it up and thumb to that just to see what the jokes are. And some of the jokes are a bit lame, but I always get a chuckle or two. And actually, my opening joke was one of their top 200 or something like that. So this week I began to wonder, is laughter really a form of medicine? We know that there's this mind, spirit, and body connection, and since laughter touches all three, I can see why it would be medicinal. So I went exploring some more. I was reading a study done by the Mayo Clinic and the healing power of laughter, and I found some pretty interesting information that I want to share today. So come to find out, there are actually many healing benefits of laughter. First of all, laughter relieves pain. Because laughter releases endorphins and triggers all those good brain hormones and chemicals, studies have shown that watching 15 minutes of comedy increases pain tolerance in patients by 10%. And if you watch that same comedy in a group of other people, it helps relieve pain to an even greater degree. So it relieves pain. Number two, it increases your chance of getting pregnant. And I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but in a 2011 study, It showed that women who were going through in vitro were 16% more likely to get pregnant when entertained by a clown than those who did not see the clown as a part of their treatment. Maybe that's why laughter in bed's so wonderful. I don't know, but if you want to get pregnant anyway, if not, then just keep it solemn, right? So anyway, so laughter also helps your heart. It increases the amount of oxygen in your blood and it kicks up your heart rate and it decreases the arterial wall stiffness. Number 4, laughter boosts your immune system. Laughing releases more anti-infection antibodies to help protect your body from infection. So I wonder if they'll do some COVID studies about people who laugh. Number 5, laughter makes you happier. It actually does. Laughter helps lighten your mood. It can lessen chronic depression and anxiety, as well as make it easier to cope with challenges when they arise. Number 6, and I think most importantly, laughter reduces stress. It reduces stress. Laughter is one of the ways your body can help regulate cortisol. And laughter increases your oxygen intake, which stimulates body circulation and has positive stress-relieving tendencies. And lastly, it relaxes your body. Stress causes your muscles to tense up, and then laughing can help relieve that stress because it relaxes your muscles. A good laugh can relieve your muscles of extra stress for up to 45 minutes because it stimulates circulation. So laughter perhaps is the best medicine. I want to share a true story, and it's not a funny one, I promise. In 1964, Norman Cousins was diagnosed with progressive degenerative arthritis of the spine and connective tissue with a name I could never try to pronounce. And at that time, back in 1964, there was not much the medical community could do to help this man relieve this excruciating pain. And he was really struggling. He couldn't sleep. The pain was causing him to not be able to sleep. So it occurred to Norman to experiment with what he knew about the power of the mind to see if laughter could help him heal. So he developed his own therapy program, including humor and daily laughter. And he discovered a cumulative decrease in his sedimentation rate, which meant that there was a reduction in his inflammation. He also found that after 10 minutes of good laughter, he was able to enjoy 2 hours of quality sleep. So Norman Cousins ended up joining the staff at the UCLA Medical Center to pursue his clinical research on the healing power of laughter. It helped him, and he wanted to prove it could help others. And in our book of the month, Marcy also shares a story about a man who nearly died from a decade of this long, complicated parasitic infection. So he was like searching and searching for an answer to what was wrong with him. And after he finally received the correct diagnosis and medical treatment, he felt better than ever. And he had a newfound appreciation and gratitude for his life in general. And he was determined to keep this gratitude for life alive. And he found 2 powerful tools that helped him greatly. The first one was a daily laughing practice of 10 minutes. Perhaps you read Norman's study. But he found it cleansed him emotionally and kept his happiness at a high level. And he never misses a day of that laughter practice. That's what I wanted to share, but I will also add in his second tool was a mantra. And it said, "Thank you for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever." So gratitude and laughter and gratitude. Maybe we could all agree that those 2 things would really have a positive healing effect in our lives. So I don't doubt laughter's healing. Basically, Norm's example is illustrative of this French writer, Voltaire. He had a thought about it. He said, "The art of medicine consists of amusing the patient while nature cures the disease." Basically, Voltaire is saying if you can get the patient amused and out of his illness, nature can do its thing, right? So I can really see how laughing improves your physical health. I get it. And our mental health, through these studies have shown that. But what about our spiritual well-being? Is laughter beneficial to us as spiritual beings? Is laughter simply a human experience, or is it a spiritual one too? So I wondered, what did Ernest Holmes, our founder, write about laughter? And I found two quotes from him. The first one is, the laughter of a child is as important to the universe as the creation of a planet. It's pretty big. His second one is, there is a laughter of God. Let's laugh it. There is a song of the universe. Let's sing it. There's a hymn of praise. Let's praise it. There is a joy, a beauty. There's a deep abiding peace. Let's experience it. There is a laughter of God. Let's laugh it. Laughter is an experience of the divine, because laughter reveals our spiritual wholeness. You know, one of these God qualities I'm always talking about, wholeness. So if joy is the opposite of stress, which is entirely human, let's see if we can understand joy as the spiritual equivalent at the other end of that spectrum. So if the qualities of God are our natural state of being, joy is our natural state of being, anything unlike the God qualities are human expressions or the result of human beliefs and thoughts. So stress is a human experience. Stress creates a narrowing of our energy flow, right? When we're stressed, our mental energy contracts. It's channeled into worry and anxiety. Our thoughts are reflective of the stress. And what do? We self-doubt. We anticipate a negative outcome in the future. That's all very human. Whatever the subject is, it's all that energy channeled that way. And if you're stressed about something, you're expecting that it might not turn out okay. That's where our thoughts are. And our bodies, our magic suits, are one of the tools that we use on this human plane. So when our magic suits are off balance, it shows up all over the place. Our body chemistry will reveal that we are off balance. Our cortisol is too high, right? Or our endorphins are too low, or whatever. Our metabolism kind of goes out of whack. Our insulin gets imbalanced. Our weight can fluctuate too high or too low. We can't sleep. Heck, we can get acne, whatever. Our bodies are going to show us when we're out of balance. Just ask any stressed out person. Their bodies are showing them. Pretty much no matter what illness you present to a doctor, they're almost always going to recommend rest, or ask you, what are you doing to decrease your stress? Because stress is such a part of us being off balance. So what are the typical stress reduction techniques out there? What is the doctor going to tell you to do? Sleep, yoga, meditation, walks in nature, exercise. Those are the kinds of things they're going to recommend. Well, do you see what they all have in common? All of those practices are the activities that connect you back to this moment. Get out of your head, get into this moment. Because what does our head do? Our heads spend all this time in the past, worrying about the past or regretting the past, or we're all into the future. But all those stress reduction techniques bring you back to this moment. They're the tools that connect you with you, your highest self, God. And laughter is the most magical of all these stress reduction tools, because it snatches you. It snatches you, often by surprise, back into this moment. Because when you're laughing, you can't worry, you can't fret, sometimes you can't even breathe, right? Can't think very well when you're laughing. It grabs you by the belly and it brings you fully into yourself, into your joy right now. Laughter reveals your wholeness. And we talked in the Sacred Cup this morning, laughter with another person reveals your oneness, because we often laugh because we see ourselves in some other person's situation. And when we string together these moments of presence and wholeness, that has a very positive impact on your body and on your mind. The spirit, mind, body connection, wholeness. Wholeness is your birthright. Laughter is part of your spiritual inheritance. You know, last week I was talking about how I define play as any activity that balances your energy. It enhances your sense of freedom. It generates this feeling of well-being. It's any activity where your inhibitions fall and laughter is available. That was my definition of play last week. Laughter is more possible when we're playing, So how can you explore some ways to increase the likelihood of some more laughter being a part of your life? What ideas do you have? How can we shift our habits of thought and behavior, shift our behaviors to release the patterns of overworking and working ourselves basically sick? It's what we do. And a part of this shift can be found through a practice of embracing and embodying joy. If you're not particularly known for being a joyful person, it's likely because you don't see yourself that way. But joy isn't for the benefit of anyone else. Strictly speaking, joy is for you. Joy is for you. Laughter is for your own well-being. It's important that you know yourself as a conduit for joy and laughter. And sometimes that takes practice. Now, I was sharing in a Sacred Cup that you might be surprised at one of my favorite ways to enjoy laughter on a regular basis is to watch America's Funniest Videos. Okay. So I'm not talking about normal laughter. No, I'm not. I truly find myself crying from laughter watching that show. And unfortunately, when I find a particular funny video, I rewind it over and over and over. The last time Terry and I watched it, she had to endure my need to watch a teenage girl have an unfortunate cartwheel. I had to watch it like 6 times at least. And this poor girl's body, it just did some moves I've just never seen a human body do. And it just cracked me up. And sometimes I almost pee my pants. I mean, I'm just laughing so hard. Here's the deal. I record that show every week. I think the last time I checked, I have like 15 still waiting to be watched. But once I watch them, I delete them because then it's not funny anymore because I don't know what's coming. But here's the deal. The thing is, I spend so much of my time coaching and counseling people, listening to challenges and helping people find new perspective. That's what I do. So life can get very serious in my world. And AFV just reveals laughter to me, the wholeness of life. It balances it out for me because human beings are funny creatures. So that's one of my strategies. But I want to share 4 strategies for increasing laughter in your life in case you don't like America's Funniest Home Videos, which I don't understand why you wouldn't, but at any rate. And actually, I'll tell you this. At our next Saturday Night Vibe, the idea came up in our Sacred Cup this morning that we should all identify our very, very, very funny video, like online, and we could just watch them. Okay, that would be our idea. But at any rate, May 7th, mark your calendars. Number 1, strategies for adding laughter to your life. Find your people. Make it a habit to spend time with friends or groups of people that make you laugh. Participate in that laughter by sharing your own stories, your jokes to add to the fun. So sometime this week, I invite you to make a list of the people in your life that make you laugh and then lean into those relationships. Number 2, treasure humor. Value it. Whenever you see something that makes you smile or chuckle, like a photo or a video or greeting card or comic strip, whatever, collect them. Collect them in a folder or in your computer, mark them as your favorites. When you find a funny TV show or movie, you can ask, what are some other shows that are like this or movies that are like this so that you can get more of that kind of source. If a comedian tickles your funny bone, and I've got a few favorites, see if there's an upcoming show in person or even look and see if there are some streaming ways to see them. Heck, ask Alexa to tell you a joke every day. It works. She'll do it. She'll tell you a joke every day. So I've been practicing treasuring humor my whole life. In my drawer right this minute is one of my first jobs out of college was as a social worker in a family and children's services for the state. And people had to write me letters explaining different situations, and they were the most hysterical letters. And I started keeping a file of them because they were so funny. And I still have those. It's labeled funny, and that's my folder. So I just treasure humor. Number 3, let the world laugh with you. Find a way to laugh about your own situations. When we're laughing at comedies or movies, it's because we can see our own absurdity in them, right? The best ones allow us to laugh at our own human goofiness. And I will say one caution, don't laugh at other people's expense or even your own expense. Find the true humor, not that cynical sarcasm that we can sometimes, mean-spiritedness we can direct to ourselves. And number 4, read for funny. Browse bookstores or libraries to find things to read for laughter. Autobiographies of comedians are hysterical. They're riot. They usually reveal that everyone is human and has situations that are hard at first glance, but underneath there's funny, underneath there's jokes. And if you can reveal that, then there's humor in your own life too. And that final point is actually a spiritual practice itself. You know, life presents each and every one of us with challenges and situations that have layers and layers of complexity. And when we're in the middle of them, it's sometimes hard to find the humor or the irony or the laughter. But if we can remain open to it, Spirit may just reveal another perspective or another viewpoint that will crack you up at some point. So stay open to a shift in your perspective. And if you think that is impossible, given your current stressor, whatever your stressor may be, like Laine, there's no humor in it, I want to offer a quote by Viktor Frankl, the very famous Holocaust survivor. He said, "I would never have made it if I could not have laughed. It lifted me momentarily out of this horrible situation just enough to make it livable." So whatever your stressor is, remember Victor. So allow laughter in your life to lift you kind of momentarily out of whatever situation you're in. Give yourself over to the joy that lives beneath the surface of your heart at all times. Anyway, this month, I invite you to continue to explore the profoundly supportive aspects of joy and laughter in your life. I encourage you to find something that gets you laughing deeply every day. What would happen? How would you change if laughter were your practice? If you took the more stress-inducing aspects of your life right now and you could shift one habit, one thought, one belief to support your mind, body, and spirit and the fun of it, could you find the joy and wholeness hidden in it? Ask Spirit to reveal it to you. Joy and laughter are your birthright. So can I close with one more funny? Okay. There was a pastor at an old country church with a very high steeple, and he knew it needed painting. So the next day he went into town and he bought a gallon of paint, white paint. And he went back to the church and he began the job. He got done with the first side and it was looking so great. But he noticed he'd already used half the gallon on just one side of the steeple. So he didn't want to run back into town. And being the creative person that he was, he found a gallon of thinner and in the shed, and he began to thin the paint, right? And it worked out great. He was able to finish the remaining 3 sides with that last half gallon of paint. And that night, it rained. It rained hard. And the next morning when he stepped outside of the parsonage to admire his work, he saw that the first side of the steeple looked great, but that the paint on the other 3 sides had washed away. And the pastor looked up into the sky in anguish and cried out, "What shall I do?" And a voice came from the heavens, "Repaint and thin no more." So will you pray with me?
Pray for better jokes.
Better jokes, that's right. Pray for me. So what I know in this moment is that laughter right there is Spirit showing up in this room. And that laughter, that joy is available in everything in every moment. And so I call it forth into our experiences in greater degrees this week as we learn to allow laughter as a gift of God to reduce the stress in our lives. I know that for each one present. May Spirit reveal that joy that's always available at all times. We affirm it together by saying, and so it is. Okay.